Executive Director of the conference, Dr. M.G. Shri Kumar, Plenary Chair, Dr. Parthasarathy Mukhopadhyay, all the office bearers of the LIS Academy, Dr. Pratibha Gokhale. Today, I am delighted to be part of the LISACon 2020, the third LIS Academy National Virtual Conference on the theme Reinventing Excellence in Librarianship. I am profoundly thankful to Professor Konur and his team for their untiring efforts which they have been taking all throughout these days to make this event as a role model in the virtual environment at the COVID-19 background. I congratulate them with the whole from the bottom of my heart. My presentation today is under the sub-theme of role of libraries in inculcating research ethics. So I have tried to make a combination of new avenues of research for LIS profession and the ethical practices which in fact are the guidelines to be followed by all of us, by all the LIS professionals. So the title of my topic is Exploring Avenues of Research and Ethical Practices in Library and Information Science in India. I have already sent a full-length paper on this topic. So in order to adhere to the timeline and to maintain the time schedule, I shall skip through some of the details and I may be slightly fast in running through the slides. I shall quickly go through and take an overview of research in library and information science and international scenario, wherein I have mentioned that Melville Dewey, the then director of the New York State Library School of Albany in 1991, moved the idea of conferring an honorary PhD degree, and the Graduate Library School at the University of Chicago in 1926 first time made provision for granting an earned PhD degree in library science. At the international scenario, Eleanor Upton from the University of Chicago is the first PhD in library science in 1930, and in UK the first school of librarianship was established in 1919 at the University College in London, but the credit of conferring the first formal doctoral research activity goes to University of Sheffield. In India, as all of us know, Dr. D.B. Krishna Rao is the first awardee in 1958 from University of Delhi under the guidance of Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, followed by Dr. Pandey S.K. Sharma. However, there is a long gap of nearly 19 years between the first PhD degree and the second PhD degree awarded in India. Well, after that, I am going very fast and I will directly enter into the research output in Indian universities. I may mention here, as per the records available about the award of PhD degree in library and information science, decade-wise analysis I have given here, but I may say here that I had to run through and go through several reference sources, and I could not get at one place a consolidated list, rather a consolidated information about this PhD research. So I have gone through several authentic sources, and that is how produce this data. And the data starts from the decade starting from 1950 to 59 till the time in 2019, and I got approximately, I say approximately because as I've said that I had to depend on the sources which were available. They were all authentic sources. So according to the data that I got, up to 2019, 1,864 PhDs have been granted in library and information science in India. Then I have made an attempt to make some subject-wide analysis on the broader subject area. So broad subject analysis of the PhD research topics in LIC as reported in the literature that is been given. I'm not reading all of them. One can go through these in my paper. So this is general, I have done the percentage-wise analysis also, and also the broad subject headings under which so far PhD degree under the topics under which the PhD degree has been so far conferred upon by different universities. I may mention here that library science has taken from time to time help, or rather picked up some philosophies and some good theories from different disciplines such as management, psychology, computer science, IT related areas, research methods from social science, statistical techniques from statistics, behavioral science from psychology, and so on. And that is how library science we can if we say that it is an applied technology taking best of from all the other disciplines, it will not be an exaggeration. So we try to make it as a complete holistic approach to the world of information. Now here I'll go back directly to exploring research in LIS in India. Broadly speaking, research in library and information science in India can be undertaken as minor research project, major research project, PhD level research, postdoctoral research, individual team research, and the sponsored research by Department of Science and Technology, ICSSR, NISCARE, and so on. And the same can be done under the broad group of subjects such as traditional, historical, theoretical subjects, semi-technical subjects, technology and IT-driven subjects, form-based subject. This is one area which is so far neglected, in my opinion, in our country, and some of the integrated areas of study. So one by one, we will quickly go through. These are what are the topics which one can think of for exploring new avenues of research in LISC. This is a list which I thought, after undergoing through several research topics at national as well as an international level, after going through these, I have come through these some of the topics which, in my opinion, so far have not been touched upon for research in LIS in India at a large scale, or rather only some, however much work needs to be done in life cycle of subject related knowledge, physical virtual collection, costing and pricing, and then balance score record, or finance rules are there, then financial management, there are some few research has been done, but library insurance, I have not found anything, which in fact is a much needed area in library and information science. And organization of information on form based literature is hardly being attempted so far. Computer, developing expert systems, developing ontology is an upcoming area for narrowly studied micro subjects, which is in fact the order of the day. Web-based thesauri on different subjects, for example, something like food science and technology, digital preservation, data warehousing, subject-based content management, that one can explore avenues of research. Work study analysis. Although a lot of work has been done on human resource development, I doubt whether a detailed, minute work study analysis for manpower development has been done so far or no. Security systems, social intelligence is something which definitely can be thought of. Research in semi-technical subjects, which we can think of. And now we are on slide number 11. So topics such as classification, cataloging, citation analysis, subject-based thesaurus construction, referencing, information services, library management. Since the theme is reinventing library and information science, I thought, although classification and cataloging are the traditional subjects, we can reinvent these subjects in the background of IT related environment and so on. And especially COVID-19 has opened up several new topics, which I'll cover in the next subsequent slides. Technology and IT based topics. The large number of topics can be explored for further research, such as webometrics, content management, digital data management, data mining, data warehousing, expert systems in library and information science. I'm sure for attempting such topics, we will have to take help of computer science people, IT related people, but well, library science is an adaptive science. We have been always adapting and adjusting with this new environment, with the new topics, and likewise, we are incorporating this for the younger generation. This should not be very difficult to attempt, instead of again and again trying to do the research on the same topics. Form-based topics for research, which in my opinion, as I've said earlier, these have been neglected. We still have not given a clear idea to the fact that what exactly is the difference. In fact, clear understanding is needed to identify the difference between ephemeral material, archival material, non-book, non-print material, audio-visual. We have been mixing up these two things, digital and virtual and audio-visual and so on, but we need a clear-cut differentiation with these two. And e-learning, for e-learning purpose, it is very interesting, and in fact, it is very much needed. Lot of work needs to be done for organizing the standards, patents, maps, engineering drawings, non-confidential consultancy reports, which are in abundance. I may quote here that the British Library is having a separate section on this type of non-conventional literature, wherein they have more than 5 lakh records which have been very, very systematically arranged, and a lot of research is being done on these form-based topics. Why? Because a lot of primary information, research-based information is embedded in such type of material, and more than 70% of the primary information, which is potentially extremely useful for applied research, one can find in these form-based or different forms of literature. Next, integrated areas of research. Much research needs to be done in interdisciplinary areas to develop thesauri in subjects in Indian philosophy. Here, I would like to insist that internationally, great importance is being given to Indian philosophy such as Vedic literature, Shat Darshans, Upanishads, Ayurveda, and so on. Before the foreigners take up and they encroach upon these studies, for librarians, it is possible to find out a wealth of knowledge which is embedded in this classical Indian literature, and these classical sources of indigenous origin are nowadays studied in depth by Western philosophers. I am aware of the fact that in the subjects of philosophy, in religion, and such subjects of Indic origin, research has been done. Yes, I agree. But in library science also, we can use our advanced techniques of information retrieval and can find out the wealth of information from these Indian classical literature. Integrated areas of research, I will further continue, and now we are on the contents, commentaries and interpretations from Indian philosophical literature, if explored through core library techniques like indexing, thesaurus, classification, will certainly unfold the treasure house for the global information world. These are the strong subject domains for research for library science professionals in India. I will insist here to do research on these topics. You know why? Because it will establish a unique identity for librarians if systematic research using library science techniques are applied for retrieval of vast knowledge from Indian philosophy. COVID-19, which is a topic of current discussion. So COVID-19 has worldwide really made significant impact on educational system. This pandemic has thrown light on the entire education system and has transformed completely the very face of chalk-talk teaching model to technology-driven model. This disruption in the delivery of education is entailing policymakers to figure out plans on massive scale to introduce e-learning solution. However, it's a matter of debate whether we are really geared up, whether we are really ready to take up this challenge, and what can we do best to tackle the digital divide problem, which is a challenge and opportunity as well. UNESCO data says that over 1.5 billion students worldwide and more than 87% of the enrolled learners have been affected due to COVID-19 environment. But as we have been talking always about SWOT analysis, I would say that the very threats or very challenges we can take up or pick up as opportunities as well. So I've just highlighted few of the threats and challenges. Readers turnout in our libraries will be less possibly, and readers will hesitate to come physically to library, in which case librarians will have to rearrange, reschedule the entire, the working model for running of the libraries. Infrastructural changes will have to be made, shifting ergonomics, rearranging the reading material will be a mandatory in the changed circumstances. Open access facility perhaps will have to be withdrawn, which will put a very high pressure on the administrators, academicians, librarians as well, because they will have to take quick action to restructure the layout of the available space, which will be experimental and which may have to be subjected to frequent changes, because this will be a trial and error kind of a thing, and we will have to keep our readers not only just happy but well informed, and especially when there is a lot of misinformation which goes around through WhatsApp or through media. I'm sorry to mention that, but it is a fact. We will have to keep our readers away from misinformation, and we'll have to give authentic information under the circumstances in the virtual environment. So provision of remote learning will have to be made. We can support our research by accepting these challenges because they are offering us new opportunities to build up our image to an enhanced level. Libraries can initiate new model of user-oriented services, such as I have listed them, given them a complete list given here. I will not read it through, one can go through this through my full-length paper. And this may be followed by continuous assessment and feedback from users. We can make it user-centric. We can incorporate our own readers into preparing a model in this COVID-19 background. Now, coming to ethical issues. Now, these ethical issues are actually the guidelines which all of us will have to follow. Now, these guidelines or ethical issues are for those who are doing or who will be doing research under different topics, under different guides and so on. These are the guidelines and ethics for both the researchers as well as for those who are the guiding teachers. So again, I am not going through the details. All of us know and most of us follow all these things. But since our theme is on ethical issues, I thought I will just quickly highlight them. So research ethics are the guidelines. So honesty in collecting the data, following the methods and procedures, objectivity, objective analysis, detachment, a sort of a detachment is needed when we objectively do the research, because whatever is the research problem is in hand has to be analyzed objectively. It should be done with full sincerity, no matter even if one fails to get the desired results or it is not coming up as per the hypothesis which is laid down. Let us accept it and then let's move ahead and then redo the research again. And if possible, preferably, I would suggest that the research should preferably be endorsed by expert testimony. So in the sense, in other words, we can always get it examined through the senior scholars, the senior experts in the field. Integrity in research, we are continuing with the ethical issues, carefulness, respect to intellectual property, which in fact we have been doing it. I will not stress upon this because these are the ethical practices which most of us have been following. But I would like to highlight this because in the virtual environment, one may not know, one may not actually be able to see one another, each other, or we may not discuss it in the group. There may not be, may or may not be, I am not very sure, colloquiums as we have been arranging, seminars as we have been arranging, or it may be a long way through. Again, one doesn't know at present, the situation is very blurred. So under the virtual environment, it becomes our mandatory duty to follow all these ethical practices. Confidentiality must be maintained. Responsible publication, pre-publications, if it is a part of the mandatory requirement, must be carefully structured so as not to reveal the final results before the degree is awarded. Then we must respect our colleagues, their views, our mentor, and so on. Now, in order to make this as a successful thing, in order to make the research successful, not only research successful content-wise, but by following ethical practice, some plan of action will have to be done. And we are on slide number 22. What we can do. Now, these are some of the guidelines which are again common, may not be necessarily only limited or confined to research alone, but otherwise also while offering the services in the library. So providing pages with useful link to reliable information, this is very important, authentic information, and we must refrain ourselves and from giving any misinformation, so-called WhatsApp University related information. So we should be able to identify the potential danger in it, and this potentially wrong information should not be passed on. Then if needed, full closure of reading space may also be required. That may be the demand from the institutions, because that space will have to be used for some other purpose, issue, return, book drop, etc. will have to be changed completely. So that may bring out infrastructural changes wherein we must follow all the social distancing, not only just COVID related guidelines and manners, but otherwise also all the other ethical practices. Some countries are experimenting with drive-through pickup and return of the books, which I am not repeating here, implementing quarantine policy, implementing plans to offer remote services, e-lending, e-learning. And here, what is equally important will be training the trainers to take up this additional responsibility. Well, as I've said earlier, this is the best opportunity for the librarians for image building. So as I said, the threats and challenges should be turned into an opportunity by following proper ethical practices. So librarians now must begin to market their services and publicize about the value of their work, which contributes to the society, especially in this pandemic. Stakeholders need to know that libraries have been continuing to provide essential services from home like any other major industries. These days we hear this word work from home, but librarians are also equally important. They are also serving the society and they are also doing equally important and a good job. So as librarians, when they extend services to support the community, if possible, we should try to reach out to the press for promoting the use of libraries, the remote education, write about the efforts on their blogs, in social media, through emails and so on, so that a brand equity can be created to make the sincere efforts of the librarians visible. Next slide, please. Image building continues. We can do SWOT analysis. Generally, the librarians community is always very humble about their own work, and we are not of the marketing type of people. We are not giving publicity, but now this is the high time that we also try to come in the spotlight and in order to know the value to the community. So libraries also must prepare and constantly update themselves, the database for all time and virtual subscribers, because these are the very same readers. They will talk about us and they will spread the message of importance of libraries. These are the people who will remember the library as a trusted place to find authentic information, value added services, and they will be encouraged to do research with their comfort zone. And with that, I come to end of my presentation. It may be concluded that libraries and librarians are adaptive and flexible. They are dedicated to make the world a better place, to help the researchers by following all the ethical practices. COVID-19 is an issue. It is not just limited to libraries or academic institutions, but there are several stakeholders like teachers, academicians, publishers, legal repositories, government organizations, policymakers, administrators, and every other segment of the society. So as a good ethical practice, it is a right time that all of us come together to develop a shared agenda for a long-term solution for any epidemic or a corona-like situation, by looking at this as a challenge, as an opportunity to build a safe, hygienic, nature-friendly environment. This very issue will open up and explore new avenues for research by following ethical practices. Thank you very much.